They say there's no such thing as silly mistakes, only happy accidents. And today I want to share with you a happy accident. So if you've seen one of my previous videos, I created a paint pouring where I mixed acrylic paint with resin. And this is the first time I attempted to mix acrylic colorant into my resin, and the results were pretty good. When I was making that, I had a lot of leftover acrylic plus Flow-Tide, as well as some of the acrylic and Flow-Tide mixed in with resin. So I decided to quickly grab a canvas and do a bit of a paint pour onto that with what I had left over. So even though I've worked with resin quite a lot over the past few years, I haven't really worked with acrylic paint, and so this was a new experience for me. I know some of the acrylic did have some resin mixed in, but the majority of it was just acrylic and Flow-Tide. And the result is quite a unique piece. I really love the piece and how it's turned out, especially the fact that there's a lot of texture to it. And I think the texture came from those bits of resin that were mixed in there. Some of that resin was starting to go off, and so I think that also added to the texture. If this is your first time here, my name is Andy and I make things with resin. If that's something that interests you, then click that subscribe button, as well as hitting that notification bell so you can see more videos like this. Both resin pouring and acrylic pouring can look very similar to the casual observer. However, the acrylic is a lot runnier than resin. So resin, you normally have to push things around with a heat gun or a hairdryer, whereas you can very easily tip a painting like I'm doing here with the acrylic pouring, and it will run quite easily. I'm not sure what the psychological reasons behind it, but whenever I want to do some resin art, I'm drawn to using a round artboard, whereas whenever I think of acrylic, I always automatically jump to your rectangle canvas. It could just be because that there's so many rectangle canvases out there, who knows. If you've got a preference, let me know in the comments below. Do you like round artboards or rectangle canvases? So in creating this artwork, the resin was going off and I didn't really have too much time to think, and so I'm going to call this technique a panic pour. Effectively, I got all the leftover acrylic and Floetrol, and also acrylic, Floetrol and resin mixes, poured them into one cup, and then did a flip cup pour. I still had a few little bits left over in other cups, and so this just became random pouring essentially. I had no plan. It was, as I said, a bit of a panic. Adding to the chaotic nature of this artwork, I thought it just needed a little bit more splash of colour, so I was able to just flick some of the remaining white out of the cup, and next I think I tried a bit of yellow as well. I'm sure there's some guidance around overworking your artwork with the hairdryer. Probably went a little bit overboard here, but I just sort of kept going until I found a pattern which I quite liked. Here I am just trying to squeeze every little last ounce of yellow out of this cup. But to be honest, I'm quite glad I did, because I really like the effect that it came up with. So like with my resin artwork, the last sort of touch that you do is to go around the edges and just sort of ensure that you've got a nice finished edge. So in this artwork I did have Floetrol that I used mixed in with the acrylic, and this is known to create cells and lacing, and so one of the things that I was hopeful for was to get some of that, but it didn't really happen. I still went in though with my little torch just to go around and see if I could create some of that lacing or cells, but as I said, that didn't really come out. Still really happy with how it came out, and I'm going to show you the finished result in just a second. One of the things that I really like about this finished artwork is the texture that it's created, and I think that's just a combination of the acrylic paint along with the resin, and especially since the resin was on its way to being cured, and probably helped to create some of this bumps that you can sort of see on here. Now I'm keen to know what you think of this panic pour that I ended up doing. Let me know in the comments below. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, keep creating. They sometimes say that there's no such thing as 3, 2, 1. They say that there's no a lot of leftover, and this is where the happy. Before we jump into that, however, if this is your first time here, my name is Andy. If this is your first time here, my name is Andy. If this is your first time here, my name is Andy, and I make things with resin. If this is your first time here, my name is Andy, and I make resin. If this is your first time here, if this is your first time on this, if this is your first time on the ArtLab channel, my name is Andy, and I make things with resin.